What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Thank you for joining. Recently on Tim Pool, he had Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie touched on the conflicts of interest in our government that, in my opinion, led to the poor handling of the pandemic, stripping of rights, and attack on the Constitution that we've seen today. Here's how some of that discussion sounded.
Fact checkers, for the most part, obscure the facts to make it harder for you to understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and the question is, what is their purpose and who is paying them? I dug deep into factcheck.org and looked at their corporate records, and they receive funding from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, which holds $2 billion of J&J stock, which is a vaccine manufacturer. The money they receive is earmarked for vaccine fact checking.
What, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I taunted them on Twitter and dared them to fact check me on my facts on them. And so their fact checks didn't deny the fact that they were taking money from this organization that has $2 billion of vaccine manufacturer stock. They said that I was wrong because the vaccine manufacturer has no editorial control over what they say, but I never said that.
Right. And as if it matters, to be honest.
They own the fact check program. I didn't say they have editorial control.
What's the name of the company that's taking the $2 billion from Johnson & Johnson?
Robert Wood Johnson. They were started with Johnson & Johnson stock. It's one of the founders of Johnson & Johnson. And they say they're trying to diversify it, but the reality is they still hold $2 billion and they're getting money from that.
Let's take a look on a whiteboard to get a better view of what Thomas Massie's talking about. Let's start with factcheck.org. Factcheck.org is used by Facebook to censor citizens. And I'm going to show how this connects to the government indirectly and directly through the government threats. This is not the exhaustive chart. The conflicts of interest are so ripe and rampant, it would be too confusing. I didn't bring in Dr. Fauci. I didn't bring in Billy G and his foundation that will connect us to China. This is crazy stuff. But let's just look at this little piece here. Facebook uses factcheck.org to censor citizens, even though in a lawsuit with John Stossel, factcheck.org had to admit the labels themselves are neither false nor defamatory. To the contrary, they constitute protected opinion. So factcheck.org is not facts. They themselves, that's not me saying it. I clipped that straight from the lawsuit. That's them fighting against John Stossel. They admitted that they are just opinion. We already knew that, but you don't have to listen to me. They said it. When push comes to shove in court, they had to admit it. Factcheck.org, it has a relationship with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. How do they have a relationship? Factcheck.org, funded by J&J, $1.8 billion lobby group. That would be the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. This is from Thomas Massie. He tweeted this in April of last year. He's got the receipts. And we look at it. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is connected to many people, but this Richard Besser. Richard Besser is an American doctor and executive, and he has relationships with the CDC. He served as the acting director for the CDC from January to June of 2009. But he was also ABC's chief health and medical editor. So you connect him to the CDC, which is the government, connect him to ABC, and then obviously Minnie in the pantsuit. You look at that, they're all interconnected. When you look at this, and I've already read, I'm reading it again, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s book about Dr. Fauci, these conflicts of interest, picture this chart times a million. Every single person, every single company intertwined. It gets hard to tell the difference between private industry and the government. There's a term for that, I think. It skips my mind. They were using it a lot under Donald Trump, but whatever, I'll keep moving. At the end of the day, taxpayers funded some of this. Now, we're showing the conflicts of interest that happened early on and last year. J&J, I don't know what's going on with that, so I'm not going to speak out of school. I know that they recommended it's not the preferred one anymore and all that, but this is still relevant to how we got to where we are. J&J secured an additional $1 billion in funding. This was November 16th of 2020. So they got $1 billion there. This is in addition to more than $1 billion the company previously received. This was in addition to they already had received more than $1 billion before. So the little money that they put into this fact check is nothing, but we fund their operation in looking. So those are funds that they didn't have to use in the development. Now they put funds in the development, but at the end of the day, we, the taxpayers, are funding all of this conflict of interest that you see right here. This is what we have to address. And I don't know if it's possible. It's an entangled web, because the same people who have to address this conflict of interest are the same people who have the conflict of interest. The only people who don't are you and me as common citizens. So we have to put pressure on this. It's going to be hard to untangle this ugly web. Let me know what you think. Take care.